Thank you. Next up, I'd like to hand it over to Scott Forstall to give you an update on iOS.
All right, let's talk about iOS. I find it incredible that through the end of March, we have already sold more than 365 million iOS devices. And what I find almost equally amazing is that more than 80% of our customers are running the very latest version of iOS, iOS 5. Now, if you compare that to the competition, they released a dairy product, 4.0, about the same time that we released iOS 5. And about 7% of Android customers are running the latest version, versus more than 80% the latest version of iOS, iOS 5. Now let me give you a quick update on a few of the features of iOS 5 that made it a great release, starting with Notification Center. Already, 84 of the top 100 social apps are pushing notifications. In fact, we're sending around 7 billion push notifications every single day. We've already sent more than 1.5 trillion, that is trillion, it's the first time I think we've seen this number up here, more than 1.5 trillion push notifications already. It's just amazing. Notification Center. Next is iMessage. We have more than 140 million iMessage users. They've sent more than 150 billion messages and are currently sending more than 1 billion messages every single day. Next is Twitter. We integrated Twitter directly into iOS 5. And they've already seen a 3 times growth increase from the number of people on iOS using Twitter. Those customers have sent more than 10 billion tweets from iOS 5, and nearly half of all the photos being shared with Twitter's photo sharing service come from iOS 5. It's a great integration. Next is Game Center. Game Center is a great gaming network. We have more than 130 million people using it. They submit 5 billion scores every single week. And 2/3 of the top 100 games integrate with Game Center. And all of this results in some very, very satisfied customers. More than 75% of our customers check the top box for very satisfied, compared to less than 50% for the competition. Now, one of the reasons that our customers are so satisfied is that every single year since the original iPhone, we come out with a new OS full of great quality, amazing features. And this year is no exception, so I'm very happy to announce iOS 6. Enhancements to Siri. I'll walk you through a few. Let's start with Siri. As you all know, Siri's only been out for 8 months and already does so much for you. You can send text messages, get all sorts of answers, set alarms, find out about the weather, make phone calls, create a reminder. For your kids, or my kids, you can just chat with it for a while. Siri's fantastic. But in these 8 months, Siri has been studying up and learning a lot more. So let me just go ahead and show you what Siri can do now in iOS 6. So here I have a phone running iOS 6. The first thing that Siri has learned in the last 8 months is all about sports. So you can ask questions like, what was the score of the last Giants game?
The Giants were downed by the Rangers yesterday. The final score was 5-0.
So this looks great. We have this great scoreboard. I have to say I like the scores against Texas a little better during the World Series. but great sports scores ask of Siri. You can also ask about individual players like this. What is Buster Posey's batting average?
Buster Posey has a batting average of .290.
So you can see, you get player cards and player stats. It's very cool. You can also ask about standings. What are the National League standings?
Here are the standings for the National League.
So you can scroll down here, see the Giants there in second place. So Siri knows about baseball. Siri also knows about basketball. So I can ask, who is taller, LeBron or Kobe?
LeBron James appears to be slightly taller.
So you see his player cards. There's LeBron James, who is 6'8". If I scroll down to Kobe's card, 6'6". Now, it's not football season right now, but Siri also knows about football. So I can ask, when is the San Francisco 49ers' first game of the season?
The 49ers Packers game is September 9th, 2012, 1:15 p.m.
So the entire schedule right there is just awesome. So Siri knows about sports. Next up, Siri's learned a lot more about restaurants. So I can ask, find a great place for dinner.
I found 15 restaurants. 14 of them are fairly close to you. I've sorted them by rating.
So you can see we have a lot more information about restaurants now, the average price of a menu item, the type of restaurant. If I go ahead and choose one of these, I'll choose Millennium. You can see all sorts of information about the restaurant. We have maps here. We've partnered with Yelp, so you can see reviews right in here. Tap on that, and here's the reviews. And if you want even more information, just tap on any of these reviews, and it'll take you right to the Yelp app from the App Store. I'll go back. We've also partnered with OpenTable, so I can tap here to make reservations. Takes me again to the OpenTable app right from the App Store. You can choose a date, number of people, and make a reservation. It's that easy. So Siri knows a lot about restaurants now. Next up, Siri's become something of a movie buff. So you can ask all sorts of questions like, what movies are playing at the Metreon?
Okay, I found 8 movies at the Metreon.
So I can tell you what movies are playing. I'll go ahead and choose one, Marvel's The Avengers. You see we've integrated with Rotten Tomatoes, so you can see ratings and reviews. You can even tap to watch the trailer right here in Siri.
War has started. And we are hopelessly outgunned.
So really, really cool. You can also ask questions about directors or actors. So I can say, show me movies starring Scarlett Johansson.
I found several movies starring Scarlett Johansson.
So it'll find current movies in the theater as well as previous catalog. Just fantastic. Let me show you one more thing Siri's learned, and that is how to launch apps. So now, you've all been creating incredible apps, and now it's so easy to get to them. If you're like me, I have hundreds of apps on my phone. Let's say I want to play a game. I can just ask Siri now. Play Temple Run. And it's just like that. And those are just a few of the things that Siri has learned in iOS 6. So before, Siri did so much, but now it's just incredible. Sports scores, so you can ask for football scores or basketball, both pro and college. You ask about baseball, hockey. Also soccer. We do a lot of leagues, including the English Premier League. So sports scores. You can ask about movies. You can launch apps, make dinner reservations. You can now tweet just by talking to your phone. And there's this thing we're calling eyes-free. Now, you've heard of hands-free before. Hands-free allows you to keep your hands on the steering wheel while you use your phone. Well, we want to integrate Siri even better with the car. And so we're working with a number of car manufacturers to enable you to use a button right on the steering wheel to bring up Siri. Now, since Siri can talk back to you, you don't need, and we don't light up the screen of the iPhone, so you can keep your hands on the wheel and your eyes on the road and use Siri. Now, a number of auto manufacturers have already committed to delivering eyes-free Siri integration in the next 12 months. We are also taking Siri much more international. When we launched Siri, we launched it in English in the United States, Great Britain, Australia, and we had French and German. Recently, we added Japanese. And now, in iOS 6, we're adding English and French tuned for Canada. We are adding Spanish, tuned for Spain, Mexico, and the United States. We are adding Italian. For Switzerland, we're adding Italian, French, and German. We're adding Korean. 60 countries represented here. We're adding Mandarin, tuned for Taiwan, Cantonese, tuned for Hong Kong, and both Mandarin and Cantonese tuned for mainland China. Now, as part of making Siri more international, we're now taking local search, which was US only in iOS 5, around the world. So you can now do local search even in China, and for the first time, we're taking Siri beyond the iPhone 4S, and we're bringing it to the new iPad. And these are just a few of the enhancements for Siri in iOS 6. Next, Facebook integration. We have been working very closely with Facebook to create the best Facebook experience ever on a mobile device. We are integrating Facebook right into iOS 6. You can now go to the Settings app and enter your username and password, and now you're ready to go. You don't need to re-log in when you go to an app from the App Store, including Facebook's app. We're also making it really easy to post to Facebook for many of our apps. So you can post photos from the Photos app, post about websites from Safari, post locations from Maps. You can talk about your favorite app, your own app in this case, from the App Store. You can talk about movies, TV shows, and movies from the iTunes Store. You can talk some smack from the Game Center. We've also integrated it right in with Notification Center, so anywhere you are, just drag your finger down from the top of the screen to reveal Notification Center, and you can tap to post to Facebook, and we've added Twitter right into Notification Center as well. We've also integrated Facebook with Siri, so you can just talk to your phone now to post to Facebook. And we've taken this deep integration and made it a public API, so it's easy for apps on the App Store to integrate with Facebook. But we didn't stop there. We've also integrated it with the App Store. So now you can like apps and see which apps your friends like. And you can also do that for the iTunes Store with music, TV shows, and movies. And If your friends are sharing, say, a phone number or an email address from Facebook,